of ideas of Africa again as the other place, as the back of the world, and this is what we were feeding.
So you decided to...
So we decided. I decided then, well, I didn't decide then to write, but I knew then the importance of children's stories. And I knew that we were failing as parents in not bringing round the children after dinner, as forefathers did, to tell them stories. I had not written any before. I didn't know how it was going to work, but I was ready to try. And that started me in that direction.
The power of reminiscing is very important to you.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. Well, if you look at the world in terms of storytelling, you have the warrior, you have the war drummer, the man who drums up the people. First of all, the man who agitates the people. I call him the drummer. And then you have the warrior who goes forward, and fights. But you also have the storyteller who takes over to recount the event. And this is the one who survives, who outlives all the others. It is the storyteller, in fact, that makes us what we are, that creates history.
The memory.
Yes, the memory.
The memory. Continuity of the generations.
That's right, the memory which the survivors must have. Otherwise, their surviving would have no meaning.
The knowledge that others have suffered
have
and
suffered
died.
here, have battled here. That is very, very important. And that is the meaning of anthills of the savannah. Yeah. You see, it is this memory, the memory that is necessary if surviving is going to be more than just a technical thing.
What is it? The anthill survives in order next year?
So that the new grass will have memory of the devastation of the savannah.
Of the fire?
Yes, the fire that happened in the savannah in the previous dry season.
So the anthill carries the memory to
yes.
the grass, to the new grass?
Yes, yes.
To the new generation?
Yes, yes.
And weaves together a collective memory?
Yes.
So what you're saying is every survivor has an obligation to remember?
Yes, yes, yes.
What's that old Jewish saying that in remembrance is the secret of redemption?
I see, they're damn right, yes. Yes.
Now, why you write?
Well, I didn't put it that way. I mean, I write partly because I enjoy it. But also, I think, because I knew that somebody had to tell my story. There's really, for me, we were at a period which is so different from anything else that happened, that everything that was presented to us had to be looked at twice. I went through university, the first university in Nigeria, and we went, did a course in English literature, and we were taught the same kind of literature that British people taught in their own universities. They recommended books for us to read. But I began to look at these books from in a different light. I realized suddenly that I was, in fact, one of the savages, that when I had been younger, I had read these adventure books about the good white man, wandering into the jungle, on the danger, and the savages were after him. And I would instinctively be on the side of the white man. The good white man. You see, this is what fiction can do. It can put you on the wrong side if you are not developed enough. In the university, I suddenly saw that these books had to be read in a different light. Reading The Heart of Darkness, for instance, which was a very, very highly praised book, and it is still very highly praised in American universities.
In the West.
I realized that I was one of those savages jumping up and down on the beach. I was not on Marlowe's steamer, you see, as I had thought before. And once that kind of enlightenment comes to you, you realize that you need to write a different story. that someone has to write a different story. And since I was, in any case, inclined that way, why not me? And so what I'm saying is there was a certain measure of seriousness in addition to the pleasure, just the pleasure of creating stories, of telling stories. But there was this serious intention. And so when somebody gets up and says, oh, but literature or poetry should have nothing to do with society or with heavy things like politics, I just can't understand.
Well, they do all the time. They shape our image of the world, right or wrong, true or false. You once said that Africans hope the West and America in particular will listen. If we listen, what will we hear? What does Africa have to say to the rest of the world?
Well, first of all, we are people. We are not funny beings. We are not funny beings, you know. We are not... If you take up any newspaper here, I mean, you probably wouldn't see Africa at all mentioned for months. Then perhaps one day a year, it is some strange story. It has to be that kind of story that we've come to associate with Africa. And I would simply say, look at Africa as a continent of people. There are people there, just people. They are not devils, they are not angels, they're just people. And listen to them. We have done a lot of listening ourselves. This is a situation where you have a strong person and a weak person. The weak person does all the listening. And up to a point, the strong person even forgets that the weak person may have something to say, you see, because he's simply there, you know, it's a fixture. You simply talk at him, you see. A British governor of Southern Rhodesia once said, the partnership between us, the whites, and the blacks is the partnership of the horse and its rider. And he wasn't trying to be funny. Seriously, he thought so. Now, that's what we want the West to get rid of. Because we lack imagination when we cannot put ourselves in the shoes of the person we oppress. If we had enough imagination to put ourselves in those shoes, things will begin to happen. So it is important that we listen, that we develop the ability to listen to the weak. Not only in Africa, but even in your own society. The strong must listen to the weak.
From the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, this has been a conversation with Chinua Achebe. I'm Bill Moyers.